Yep. What's up, guys? Eachine here, and I want to take this time and talk about my thoughts and feelings about the stock Wizard X220 from Eachine. So obviously this is going to be from the point of view of a new flyer, someone new to racing drones. I've flown, other types of drones before, like camera drones, but racing drones are completely different. They're in a different category. So this is going to be from a beginner point of view. Now let's go over the first thing, and probably the most important thing is going to be value, what you're getting for the money. I bought the ready-to-fly version, which comes with the FlySky i6 transmitter. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So as far as I'm concerned, I give this value a 10 out of 10. For the money you're going to spend somewhere between $170 and $190, depending on coupons and where you buy it. That is a huge value that you get everything you need to get started. You get the transmitter, you get the drone with 10 sets of props, you get the battery charger, you get a nice lithium battery, and you get extra parts as well, extra screws and a couple wrenches. So, that's what I feel about the value. So let's go ahead and talk next. I want to break it down and actually talk about just the transmitter for a second. The transmitter, from a beginner standpoint, I'll go ahead and give that 8 out of 10. It's not hard to use. It does have a ton of functionality. There is a lot of programmable features and stuff that you can do to this transmitter. So I would go ahead and give that, a good 8 out of 10. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 is because for a new user, it can be a little bit complicated. You do have to they don't really give you any instructions in the box, so that can be a little confusing to a new operator. Somebody might have to, go on the internet or, go on social media, YouTube, something like that, to find out more information about how to program the transmitter if you want to change some of the functionality. Out of the box, it flies great, it works great, it will get you up in the air. So I give the transmitter a solid 8 out of 10. Now let's go ahead and dive into the actual drone itself, guys. I have got to give this drone seriously a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to tell you why. The components they use for this Wizard, and not to mention the price point, is phenomenal. The fact that you get BL Heli ESCs, which are wonderful, they work great, and the fact that you do get the 2205 2300 kV brushless motors to go along with the ESCs is a wonderful combination. It's a great pairing. That in itself is really great for all the components that power and get you in the air. The next thing I'd like to talk about on the drone is the actual camera. So the camera, I've got to give the camera, just rating the camera only, I'm going to give the camera a 4 out of 10. It's quite awful. For a beginner especially. Someone skilled to flying racing drones will probably have a lot better luck with it. But someone new that's never flown racing drones, that's not really used to flying FPV, the camera's awful. I understand they had to use cheap components to keep the prices down for some of the components, and that's fine. And they probably figured, hey, you know what, someone can easily upgrade the camera, so that's not a big issue. But out of the box, the camera is quite awful. Not only is the clarity awful and the quality awful, but I tried to adjust the camera to get a different angle on it and screw it down, and it won't even stay, screwed down tight. It's just a very cheap, it will get you in the air and it will get you some sort of a view, but it's not a good view. It's pretty awful. The last thing I'd like to talk about for the Wizard is the design of the drone itself. So, the design of the drone, I'd definitely give it a solid, 10 out of 10. Once again, the design is quite awesome. It's put together quite well. It's very sturdy. You know, it's got the reinforced carbon fiber on the sides to protect all your valuable components. And this thing could take a pretty big crash and be fine, because it is so well protected. So I really do like the design of it. I like the size of it. So yeah, I'd definitely give the design a good 10 out of 10. It's easy to work on as well. I mean, me being a new to the racing drones, a beginner, you know, I was able to take it apart very easily and get to all the components that I needed to do, you know, tab into the flight controller or whatever. So you know, that I really do like the design. And another thing I like to talk about is the replacement parts also, guys. So that was another thing I wanted to take into consideration when I bought this drone was, you know, how much were the replacement parts going to be if I did crash and burn out an ESC or burn out a motor. And the parts are really, they're not bad, guys. I did some research, looked up some of the parts online, you know, and you can replace these parts for fairly inexpensive, which is, you have to think about that. And you also have to think about, you know, how easily are the parts accessible? Are they accessible? Are they plentiful? Are there a lot of parts for this? And the answer is yes, 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 yes. There's tons of parts on the internet for this. There's tons of different suppliers that provide this, and that's great, because the more suppliers you have, it's going to drive the prices down, because they're going to try to stay competitive with each other. So that's good for us as consumers, so we can change these parts for, you know, very little to no cost. And that part is, I really do like. So that about wraps it up, guys. So for a total score for the Wizard X220, with all things I've talked about and considering, the final score I'm going to give it is an 8 out of 10. And strictly, you know, the main reason it's 8 out of 10 is the camera. I mean, that was the biggest downfall to me, was just the camera, and, you know, not having instructions. Those two things are what brought it down for being a 10 out of 10 for me. I appreciate you guys watching. You know, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already. And now comes the fun part, guys. Let the upgrades begin. So we're going to be doing some upgrades on this Wizard and changing some few key components and going through the differences and seeing just, you know, how awesome I can tweak this thing. We're going to change, you know, update to the newest version of Betaflight and get this thing flying to its max potential. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day. E-Drone out.